Africa. There are places in Africa where the world feels stripped back to its very beginning, where the land stands in its most uncompromising form, raw, volatile, and utterly unrestrained. You step into these regions with the instinctive awareness that something ancient is not just present, but vigilant, as if the earth itself is assessing your right to witness it. Shadows drag themselves across volcanic plains still breathing with buried fire, while winds carve through canyons that thunder with the ghosts of rivers long devoured by heat. Stone forests erupt from the ground like the fossilized remains of a forgotten catastrophe, their razor-edged spires reminding you that beauty here is carved from danger, not comfort. Elsewhere, lakes ignite in colors that defy science. Scarlet neon, toxic, born from minerals forged deep within the planet's violent heart. Salt fields splinter beneath your feet, cracking open like ancient wounds, releasing the faint murmur of a world that has endured extremes beyond human comprehension. Mountains rise like colossal monoliths torn from the Earth's core, their peaks swallowed by storm clouds, their foundations anchored in prehistoric upheaval. Deserts shift with a sentience of their own, dunes advancing and collapsing as though rewriting the land faster than time can record it. Every landscape here shatters expectation, forcing you to reconsider what a horizon is, what a mountain is, even what the word Earth can mean in a place shaped by such relentless force. And the deeper you travel into this continent of extremes, of heat, pressure, void, and violent creation, the more you feel a pull that is primal, a recognition of a wildness the modern world has long forgotten. Africa's harshest terrains do not merely resist interpretation. They strip away illusion and demand instinct, respect, and humility. And with that awakening pounding through every sense, we enter the top 10 wildest and most unforgettable places in Africa. Sahara Desert, North Africa. If the Earth had a heartbeat, it might sound like the wind moving across the Sahara Desert, a place where silence and vastness converge to form a landscape so immense and unforgiving that it feels almost aware of every traveler who dares to cross it. Legends say the Sahara was once a paradise of lakes and forests before ancient gods summoned a drought to test humanity's endurance, transforming a lush world into a harsh expanse that now stretches across more than 3.5 million square miles. Whether myth or memory, the desert still carries traces of its former life. Fish fossils buried beneath towering dunes, cave paintings of swimmers in mountains now scorched dry, and river channels visible only from satellite images. Step into the Sahara, and the boundaries of reality seem to loosen. Heat bends the air into shimmering illusions, and distance becomes fluid, as though the desert is quietly rewriting its own map. The dunes rise like golden cathedrals sculpted by relentless winds that can whip through the landscape at speeds strong enough to reshape entire sand ridges overnight. Oases appear like visions, rare pockets of shade where date palms grow because their roots can reach water hidden deep beneath the desert floor. A reminder that life persists even under brutal conditions. Nomadic tribes navigate this terrain with a mastery earned over centuries, reading the desert for signs invisible to outsiders, tiny ripples in the sand, shifting shadows, and constellations that guide them through moonless nights. As night descends, temperatures can plummet by 40 degrees in a single evening, revealing a star-flooded sky so bright and sharp it feels carved into the darkness itself. The Tener region, often called the desert within the desert, is so vast and empty that travelers once relied on a single acacia tree, the famed loneliest tree on Earth, as their only landmark for hundreds of miles. Some speak of ghost caravans shimmering on the horizon, a haunting sight modern science attributes to complex mirages produced when extreme heat twists the air into a lens. Beneath the surface, the Sahara hides buried cities, meteor impact fields, and trade routes that once carried salt, gold, and stories between continents. Scattered cairns and abandoned stone shelters whisper of civilizations erased by a landscape that never stops moving. Life here is a testament to adaptation. Desert squirrels dart effortlessly across the scorching sands, their light footsteps barely disturbing the surface, while camels move with a measured, enduring grace, conserving energy so efficiently they can travel for days without seeking water. Plant life emerges with quiet defiance, acacia trees anchoring themselves in dry soil, salt-tolerant shrubs surviving in places where rainfall might not come for years, and desert grasses appearing overnight after rare storms. The White Desert stands apart, its ghostly chalk formations rising from the ground like sculptures frozen in mid-thought, shaped by sandstorms that spin at the edges of violent desert winds. Visitors often describe wandering here as stepping inside a dream, where scale, time, and perspective dissolve into shifting light. By mid-afternoon, the Sahara's heat can press against the skin with a weight that feels almost physical, forcing travelers to seek shade or risk dehydration in minutes. Yet in the cool calm of early morning, shadows stretch long and delicate across every dune, revealing patterns and textures sculpted by the night wind. Adventurers who trek across these sands speak of a strange clarity, moments when the world feels limitless yet intimately quiet, as though the desert is speaking in a language only felt, not heard. Survival demands humility. Never travel alone. Anchor your tent against sudden sandstorms, and drink water before you feel thirsty. Dehydration here never announces itself politely. Local guides warn that losing sight of the horizon line for even a minute during a storm can disorient you completely, as dunes shift and erase footprints almost instantly. A rare spectacle occurs when snow dustes the dunes near the Atlas Mountains, turning them into surreal swirls of white and gold, proof that the Sahara contains far more contradictions than its reputation suggests. Camel caravans remain the most timeless way to travel across the dunes, their rhythm steady and patient, echoing journeys taken by traders and pilgrims for thousands of years. Modern explorers can sandboard down towering slopes, sleep beneath open skies so clear they seem infinite, or wander through remote canyons carved by winds older than civilization itself. Though harsh and demanding, the Sahara rewards those who listen, offering beauty not in abundance, but in moments of stillness, mystery, and awe. Travel tip: stay out on a moonless night and walk a short distance from camp. Here, the starlight alone is bright enough to cast moving shadows on the sand, a sight so unreal it feels like witnessing the desert breathe. Namib Desert, Namibia. They say the Namib Desert is a place where time doesn't merely pass. It lingers, drifts, and folds in on itself, shaping a landscape so ancient that it has remained a desert for more than 55 million years, the oldest such realm on the planet. Spread along Namibia's spine like a vast, rust-colored scar, the Namib glows in deep iron-red hues that darken with age, each grain of sand having traveled unimaginable distances before finally settling into its monumental form. What makes these dunes incomparable is not just their towering height, but their uncanny behavior. They move with the deliberateness of a living organism, creeping several meters each year and quietly consuming anything too slow to resist their advance. At dawn, the desert doesn't simply brighten, it sharpens, slicing the horizon into razor-thin layers of light while shadows spill like ink along perfect curves of copper and gold. The silence that follows is almost disorienting, a silence so pure and heavy that your own breath becomes the only sound anchoring you to the moment. And yet, the Namib is far from lifeless. It pulses with improbable adaptations. Snakes that glide beneath the sand as if swimming through air, and oryx capable of surviving temperatures that would overwhelm most other creatures. Sossusvlei rises ahead like a ceremonial amphitheater, its dunes sweeping into graceful spirals sculpted by competing winds that meet in this very corner of the world and nowhere else. Dead Vlay stands even more haunting. Its skeletal camelthorn trees, dead for 6 centuries, they remain eerily intact, preserved by air so dry that decay itself cannot take hold. Heat here behaves with its own strange physics. It doesn't merely warm, it presses outward, warping depth and distance until a dune nearby appears impossibly far, or a distant ridge suddenly feels within reach. Many travelers misjudge their path, only realizing too late that the desert has quietly dissolved their sense of scale. Footprints vanish within minutes as the wind brushes the sand clean, restoring the landscape to an untouched, indifferent canvas. Climbers reaching the tallest dunes often describe hearing deep, resonant notes vibrating beneath the sand, booming sounds that ripple through the grains like something breathing just under the surface. When the sun finally sinks, the desert shifts again, painting itself in wine-red shadows before dropping in temperature so abruptly, sometimes more than 30 degrees in an hour, that the air feels reborn. Night in the Namib is an entirely new kingdom. The sky sharpens into 1,000 crystal points, the dunes turn velvety black, and the horizon dissolves into a silence that feels almost cosmic. Camping here reveals secrets daylight hides, animal tracks curling around your tent, sudden breaths of wind that redraw the sand, and the uncanny stillness that settles after each passing gust. But the Namib's beauty is inseparable from its brutality. Dehydration arrives without warning, heat stroke lurks behind still air, and absent landmarks leave even seasoned trekkers disoriented. Guides say the desert speaks before it strikes. Grainier sand before a wind shift, a sudden warm breath signaling fog retreat, or a strange hush that means a sandstorm is forming just beyond sight. Reading these whispers can mean the difference between awe and danger, making survival less a test of strength and more an act of awareness. For those who come prepared, the desert offers its own quiet exhilaration, a chance to drift along ancient rhythms on a camel trek that mirrors the timeless journeys once carved into these sands. Skeleton Coast, Namibia. The Skeleton Coast stretches along northern Namibia like the world's final frontier, a place where survival hinges on reading a landscape shaped by contradiction and constant change. Its defining drama begins where the icy Benguela Current collides with the blazing Namib Desert, generating a near-permanent fog so dense that even seasoned guides rely on both satellite tools and physical markers to avoid losing their way. Along the shoreline, immense colonies of Cape fur seals gather in restless masses, drawing in brown hyenas and the occasional desert-adapted lion that follows ancient riverbeds toward the ocean. These same dry channels, Harussab and Honib among them, act as lifelines for elephants and giraffes. Yet travelers know to keep their distance after fog-heavy nights when the sand softens into hidden traps. Rusting shipwrecks lie scattered across the coast, their skeletal frames transformed into sanctuaries for seabirds and marine life, each one a reminder of how unforgiving the fog and current can be. Shifting dunes wander endlessly across the landscape, swallowing abandoned huts and navigation towers, redrawing the coastline with every change of wind. Despite the near absence of rain, life persists through ingenious fog-harvesting adaptations, with plants, insects, and even the sand itself capturing microscopic droplets, an invisible river that sustains the desert. One of the region's most haunting phenomena is the roaring dune, where cascading sand vibrates in unison to produce a deep, resonant hum that echoes across the emptiness. Throughout the day, wind sculpts sharp ridges and crescent dunes that can appear overnight, a shifting geography that compels travelers to move cautiously and always in daylight. In the end, the Skeleton Coast's allure lies in its raw unpredictability, a place where beauty and danger are inseparable, rewarding only those who approach with humility and an open, curious eye. Fish River Canyon, Namibia. There are landscapes that feel born from myth, and the Fish River Canyon is one of them, a vast chasm in southern Namibia where stone seems to peel open under the weight of ancient stories. Tribal legends say a giant serpent carved the canyon in its frantic escape, its immense body twisting across the land until the earth split into the serpentine gorge visible today. Scientific explanations are equally dramatic. Tectonic forces lifted the plateau, and the Fish River slowly carved its path through fractured rock over millions of years, sculpting towering cliffs and sweeping bends. From the rim, the canyon appears almost alive, its curves coiling like frozen muscles, its stacked cliffs resembling vertebrae suspended mid-motion. Heat rises from the valley floor in wavering sheets, distorting the air so intensely that the canyon seems to shimmer with its own pulse. The terrain deep inside the gorge becomes a labyrinth of terraces, boulder fields, and slot-like corridors where walls narrow into towering stone corridors. Smooth circular basins carved by ancient whirlpools lie hidden in its depths, their perfect geometry fueling stories of forgotten rituals and cosmic forces. During rare seasonal floods, the quiet river becomes a violent, surging torrent capable of rearranging entire sandbanks overnight. Hikers descending into the canyon describe a unique phenomenon. The deeper they travel, the more the landscape seems to grow around them, expanding into vast amphitheaters of stone. Echoes behave strangely here. Voices ricochet unpredictably between the cliffs, returning delayed or from angles impossible to trace, giving the impression of unseen chambers responding. Sunset drenches the canyon walls in molten gold before shifting to deep purples, revealing layers of sediment that glow as if lit from within. Popular viewpoints like Hiker's View and Hell's Corner showcase dramatic bends where the canyon unfolds in angles so surreal they seem deliberately designed. The canyon floor offers rugged trails that lead through natural amphitheaters, echoing corridors, and ancient rock shelves that challenge even seasoned trekkers. Fish River Canyon isn't just a place to witness. It's a place to experience, a geological saga that makes you feel as though you're walking through the Earth's oldest memories. Drakensberg Mountains, South Africa and Lesotho. Straddling the border between South Africa and Lesotho, the Drakensberg Mountains rise so abruptly from the plains that the first sight of their sheer basalt walls feels like stumbling upon the edge of a hidden continent. Born from ancient volcanic fire and sculpted by ages of wind and water, the cliffs read like a stone archive, layer upon layer revealing forgotten climates, vanished rivers, and the restless history of a landscape in motion. As you climb higher, the world transforms into a mosaic of alpine grasses and hardy shrubs, swaying in winds that sweep across the plateau with both gentleness and force. Wildlife survives here through instinct and adaptation, eland grazing across the high grassy plateaus with unhurried confidence, while Cape gyps vultures settle on the edges of sheer basalt cliffs and the majestic bearded vulture circles high above them, all three surveying the vast valleys below with patient, ancient eyes. Weather carries its own dramatic rhythm. Sunlight sharpens the ridgelines at dawn, only for storms to roll in hours later, cracking open the sky with thunder that echoes through the valleys like a warning. From the escarpment's edge, narrow waterfalls drift into the void, unraveling into mist before reaching the rocks below, as though the mountain were exhaling its own breath. Rock shelters tucked deep beneath overhangs hold haunting sand paintings, figures mid-dance, hunters mid-stride, leaving travelers with the sense that these mountains once served as a spiritual crossroads. The terrain shifts constantly beneath your feet. Broad grass terraces give way to sudden knife-edge ledges, and ravines plunge so sharply that sunlight barely grazes the stone below. Seen from above, the Drakensberg folds into itself like dragon scales, each ridge leading into a valley more intricate and untamed than the last. Fog interacts strangely with the basalt, bending light and creating fleeting illusions that once convinced early travelers that beings were moving across the cliffs. Isolation has preserved the region's wilderness, allowing ecosystems to remain raw, delicate, and largely unaltered by modern influence. Winter brings a quiet beauty, thin snow dusting the upper ridges, softening their volcanic intensity and transforming the highlands into an African alpine dreamscape. For adventure seekers, the mountains offer everything from long, meditative traverses to adrenaline-filled scrambles along exposed ridges where each step feels suspended between earth and sky. Yet the true allure of the Drakensberg lies in its unpredictability, a place where weather, terrain, and mood shift so quickly that no two visits ever feel the same. For many travelers, standing beneath these colossal cliffs is not just a moment of awe, but an invitation to explore deeper, listen closer, and experience a wilderness shaped by forces far older than memory. Simien Mountains, Ethiopia. On the northern Ethiopian plateau, the Simien Mountains rise in a jagged crown of volcanic rock, where erosion has carved knife-edged ridges, steppe terraces, and towering pinnacles that feel almost too dramatic to be real. Born from ancient basalt flows later sculpted by wind, frost, and rushing rivers, the range forms a legendary roof of Africa, a landscape shaped by forces both violent and patient. The altitude crafts its own weather, cool, crystalline mornings, followed by searing midday sun and sudden afternoon fogs that surge up the cliffs like advancing tides. Cliff edges come alive with massive troops of gelada baboons, grazing like herds on the high plateaus and speaking in a vocabulary of complex calls found in no other primate. Higher still, the elusive Ethiopian wolf hunts across frost-kissed grasslands, moving through the tundra-like terrain with the precision of a ghost stitched into the landscape. And along the jagged escarpments of the Simien Mountains, the endangered Walia ibex moves with astonishing ease, stepping across knife-edged ledges as if the cliffs themselves were crafted for its hooves, its sweeping horns catching the highland light like symbols of a kingdom only it can claim. Deep ravines and vertical drops act as natural fortresses, creating isolated pockets where unusual species have evolved in near secrecy. When storms arrive, the mountains transform instantly, turning serene meadows into wind-lashed corridors where mist erases the world beyond arm's reach. Birdsong fills the canyons, lammergeiers circling with immense wingspans, ravens weaving between thermal currents, shadows flickering across the cliffs. Sunset ignites the escarpment in copper light, sharpening its contours until every ridge and ravine appears carved with surgical precision. For explorers, scientists, and dreamers alike, the Simien Mountains remain a wilderness where extreme geology, rare wildlife, and ancient culture collide into one unforgettable, otherworldly realm. Mount Kilimanjaro, Tanzania. Some landscapes expand your sense of what the world can be, and Mount Kilimanjaro is one of them, an island of ice rising alone from the savanna, as if the earth pressed a single finger upward to remind us of its quiet, commanding power. At the mountain's base, golden grasses ripple like liquid metal as warm winds sweep across the plains, carrying the scent of acacia bark, sun-baked dust, and the faint electricity of distant storms. Step into the rainforest and the atmosphere changes instantly. Giant ferns unfurl like ancient scrolls, vines twist into natural gateways, and monkeys vault through the canopy in streaks of whitened shadow. Moist air gathers at this elevation, feeding moss-covered trees and hidden waterfalls that appear without warning, turning the forest into a living cathedral of dripping green light. As the trail rises, the forest thins into vast heather-covered plateaus, where giant senechios stand in sculptural clusters, plants so imposing they seem borrowed from a prehistoric chapter of Earth's story. Clouds climb the slopes with deliberate grace, rolling in soft white sheets that swallow entire valleys before parting suddenly to reveal sunlit ridges sweeping upward in elegant arcs. Climbers often pause here, not from exhaustion, but because the mountain begins to reveal its scale, an expanse of ridgelines, lava flows, and distant glaciers flickering in and out of view. Above this, the alpine desert unfolds in stark, minimalist beauty. Black volcanic gravel crunches underfoot. Frost silvers the rocks before sunrise, and wind-carved ridges frame wide basins that look untouched by time. Massive boulders sit like abandoned monuments, remnants of ancient eruptions that shaped Kilimanjaro into the stratovolcano it is today. At night, the mountain transforms into a cathedral of starlight, air thin enough to sharpen every constellation, cold enough to turn each breath into drifting silver threads. Here, high-altitude camps glow like small constellations of their own, clusters of tents at Barafu or Barranco, where climbers rest while the mountain looms above them like a dark, ancient guardian. Guides move quietly between tents, checking oxygen levels, refilling water, and offering quiet encouragement in Swahili, their voices grounding climbers in the stillness of the high night. Climbers speak of an inner shift at this elevation, as if the mountain strips away the noise of everyday life, leaving behind a rare clarity that feels both unsettling and deeply grounding. Before dawn, a slow river of headlamps winds across the slope, each shimmering point tracing the story of a traveler pushing through darkness, altitude, and anticipation. Then, almost without warning, the glaciers reveal themselves, massive crystalline walls catching the first sunlight in shades of gold, blue, and ethereal white, the last remnants of an ice age still holding their ground at the equator. At Uhuru Peak, the horizon curves outward across Tanzania and Kenya, the plains below glowing faintly like a sea of burnished copper, making the moment feel both monumental and intimately quiet. On the descent, warmth returns in reverse. The stillness of the alpine desert softens into the heather zone. The heather thickens into rainforest. And finally, the rainforest opens onto the great savanna, a gentle unwinding that feels like moving backward through time. Birdsong resurfaces, the air thickens with oxygen, and hikers find their voices again, laughing with the kind of relief and joy only earned through altitude and effort. Many say the journey doesn't truly end at the summit, but at the base. When your boots finally touch the lowland soil and you realize you've walked through 5 ecosystems, each with its own rhythm, climate, and quiet wisdom. Travel tip: choose the Mashame or Lamasho route if you want the most scenic ascent, and pace yourself slowly. Pole, as the guides wisely say, is the only way to let the mountain open itself to you without resistance. Lake Natron, Tanzania. The first sight of Lake Natron feels like stumbling upon a secret the Earth has guarded for centuries. A shimmering red expanse so vivid and arrestingly saturated that your breath falters before your mind can process what you're seeing. Its waters glow in shifting gradients of crimson, rose, and pale coral, catching sunlight in a way that makes the entire valley appear to pulse with color, as if the lake itself were a vast jewel igniting along its edges. Step closer, and the shoreline transforms into a cracked, pale mosaic, each fragment rimmed with delicate white crystals that glitter like frost trapped beneath an unforgiving tropical sun. Heat rises in wavering currents, bending the horizon until mountains ripple, flamingos blur, and even your own shadow seems to sway on the scorched earth. Yet within this world forged from salt and heat, life blooms with improbable grace. Flamingos drift across the lake in sweeping pink ribbons, their mirrored reflections doubling the spectacle until sky and water merge into a single painterly vision. When they take flight, their wings carve luminous arcs across the crimson surface, scattering glimmers of light like drifting petals on a liquid ruby canvas. On the horizon, Oldoño Lengai, the brooding black volcano, anchors the landscape with its stark silhouette, a striking counterpoint to Natron's burning colors, like ink set against flame. Its rare carbonatite lava nourishes the valley with minerals that give the lake its surreal palette, making Natron feel not merely beautiful, but intentionally, almost artistically composed. Along the shore, mineral pools appear in gradients of violet, silver, rust, and pearl, each shifting subtly with the day's light, turning the coastline into a living gallery of evolving color. At times, Natron leaves behind eerie sculptures, creatures and forms calcified by the lake's chemistry, shapes so precise and haunting, they seem carved by forgotten gods rather than shaped by time. But at sunrise, the harshness softens. Pastel hues wash gently across the surface, transforming the lake into a dreamscape of blush pink and creamy gold, delicate enough to feel as though it might dissolve beneath your gaze. In these quiet early hours, a cathedral-like stillness settles over the valley, broken only by the soft crunch of salt beneath your boots and the feather-light rustle of flamingo wings nearby. Photographers pursue Natron's light obsessively, knowing that each moment offers a new composition. The colors shift minute by minute, ensuring no two views, no two images, are ever alike. And when night falls, the lake becomes a flawless obsidian mirror, so still and dark that the stars seem to drift downward and rest upon its surface like scattered diamonds across black glass. For travelers who brave the heat and isolation, Natron reveals a beauty that feels ancient, elemental, and shockingly pure, a beauty that does not merely impress, but overwhelms. Natron is not a place you simply witness. It is one that imprints itself upon you, an elemental dreamscape where nature reveals not just what it can create, but what it dares to imagine. Tsingy de Bamarha, Madagascar. Long before maps dared to outline Madagascar, people whispered about a forest of stone, a realm where the earth rose into countless blades and the wind threaded through them with a voice so haunting it felt like the land itself was singing. That place is Tsingy de Bamarha, a jagged kingdom of limestone spires so densely packed and razor-sharp that from afar it resembles the spine of an ancient creature resting under the sun. Each pinnacle is the result of patient craftsmanship, millions of years of water-carving coral limestone into a labyrinth of towers, fins, and crevices that defy both logic and gravity. Entering the Tsingy feels like stepping into a world assembled by another hand. Narrow corridors compress your movement, while serrated walls rise above you in abrupt, impossible geometry. Suspension bridges sway above deep chasms, revealing glimpses of hidden moss, trapped light, and cavern floors far below. Reminders that this landscape rewards precision more than speed. Within these stone mazes, sound behaves strangely. Footsteps seem to vanish, while the scrape of metal or a whispered breath echoes with theatrical clarity. Above, life adapts in extraordinary ways. Deccan's cephacus cling to scrubby trees wedged in limestone cracks, quietly nibbling young leaves as their pale bodies contrast against the gray spires. Tiny frogs shelter in cool fissures. Jewel-toned insects shimmer across sunlit ledges, and baobabs rise unexpectedly from the rock, a testament to life's persistence even on the harshest foundations. High overhead, birds glide between limestone blades, their calls bouncing like coded signals through the natural corridors of stone. Hidden passages lead to panoramic viewpoints where the Tsingy unfurls in endless formations. Ridges, needle towers, and sculpted waves frozen in mid-motion. Descend into the underworld beneath the spires and the landscape softens. Cooler air, mineral-scented darkness, and ancient rivers carving quiet chambers of stone. Here, movement becomes intentional. The Tsingy test balance, calm, and focus, demanding the same discipline from visitors that time demanded of the rock itself. As sunlight shifts, the stone forest transforms from silver to steel to molten amber, each hour revealing a different personality of the landscape. Every new angle introduces a fresh geometry, unexpected lines, improbable shadows, and shapes that arrest your attention mid-step. Explorers say the Tsingy changes you, sharpening awareness and teaching a kind of reverence for places shaped not by chaos, but by slow, unwavering precision. And the reward is profound, a rare encounter with a landscape that evolved in solitude, untouched by human rhythm, carrying the raw memory of Earth's earliest eras. Tsingy de Bemaraha is nature's most audacious design, dangerous, intricate, and astonishingly alive, calling not to casual visitors, but to those who seek the raw edges of the planet and the stories etched into them. Danakil Depression, Ethiopia. The Danakil Depression is a place where the Earth seems to peel back its outer skin, exposing a raw, molten truth, fitting for one of the hottest regions on the planet, where temperatures routinely surpass human endurance. Lying more than 100 meters below sea level, this sunken basin feels less like a destination and more like a geological scar etched deep into the Earth's crust. Its extremes are legendary. Acid pools glowing in violent greens and yellows, sulfur chimneys hissing like miniature volcanoes, and salt plains cracked into perfect geometric patterns stretching endlessly toward a trembling horizon. Here, fire and salt coexist with unsettling harmony, creation and corrosion unfolding side by side beneath a sun that seems almost predatory in its intensity. Yet the Afar people have survived here for centuries, moving with measured precision across the blistering landscape and guiding camel caravans over the shimmering flats as though navigating a living furnace. Salt, the region's ancient currency, is still cut by hand. Afar workers shaping blocks with slow, deliberate strikes before loading them onto camels for journeys that can last days across the scorched desert. For travelers, Danakil is an expedition rather than a visit. Heat stroke is a constant threat. Salt crust can conceal sudden voids, and volcanic gases drift silently, making experienced guides indispensable. At Dalal, mineral-rich springs bubble from the earth in colors so vivid they seem artificial, staining terraces and mounds in patterns that shift by the season. Nearby, the lava lake of Erta Ile roils in perpetual motion, waves of molten rock rising and folding in a glowing choreography that feels both violent and hypnotically calm. Standing at its rim, you sense the mountain exhaling heat in slow rhythmic pulses, as if the planet itself were breathing through cracks in its armor. Even here, life persists. Extremophile microbes cling to the edges of boiling pools, challenging our assumptions of habitability and offering tantalizing clues about the kinds of life that might survive on distant worlds. Researchers come seeking answers, only to leave humbled by how little we truly understand about resilience in places shaped by fire. As the sun sinks, Danakil undergoes its brief transformation, sulfur fields catching warm gold, salt flats glowing soft rose, and shadows stretching long across the tortured terrain. Night cools the air, but deepens the strangeness. The distant flicker of lava reflects in mineral pools. Stars explode into clarity above, and silence settles so completely that your heartbeat feels amplified. Camel caravans glide through the darkness like silhouettes from another age, their bells echoing softly across the salt, grounding you in a rhythm older than memory. Danakil is not gentle, it is uncompromising and astonishing. A place that strips away illusion and confronts you with the earth in its most primal, untamed form. Travel tip: begin excursions before sunrise. Wear heat-resistant boots and protective masks, and carry more water than you think necessary. Here, preparedness isn't prudence, it is survival. Namib Desert, Namibia. They say the Namib Desert is a place where time doesn't merely pass. It lingers, drifts, and folds in on itself, shaping a landscape so ancient that it has remained a desert for more than 55 million years, the oldest such realm on the planet. spread along Namibia's spine like a vast, rust-colored scar. The Namib glows in deep iron-red hues that darken with age, each grain of sand having traveled unimaginable distances before finally settling into its monumental form. What makes these dunes incomparable is not just their towering height, but their uncanny behavior. They move with the deliberateness of a living organism, creeping several meters each year and quietly consuming anything too slow to resist their advance. At dawn, the desert doesn't simply brighten, it sharpens, slicing the horizon into razor-thin layers of light while shadows spill like ink along perfect curves of copper and gold. The silence that follows is almost disorienting, a silence so pure and heavy that your own breath becomes the only sound anchoring you to the moment. And yet, the Namib is far from lifeless. It pulses with improbable adaptations. Snakes that glide beneath the sand as if swimming through air, and oryx capable of surviving temperatures that would overwhelm most other creatures. Sossusvlei rises ahead like a ceremonial amphitheater, its dunes sweeping into graceful spirals sculpted by competing winds that meet in this very corner of the world and nowhere else. Dead Vlay stands even more haunting. Its skeletal camelthorn trees, dead for 6 centuries, they remain eerily intact, preserved by air so dry that decay itself cannot take hold. Heat here behaves with its own strange physics. It doesn't merely warm, it presses outward, warping depth and distance until a dune nearby appears impossibly far, or a distant ridge suddenly feels within reach. Many travelers misjudge their path, only realizing too late that the desert has quietly dissolved their sense of scale. Footprints vanish within minutes as the wind brushes the sand clean, restoring the landscape to an untouched, indifferent canvas. Climbers reaching the tallest dunes often describe hearing deep, resonant notes vibrating beneath the sand, booming sounds that ripple through the grains like something breathing just under the surface. When the sun finally sinks, the desert shifts again, painting itself in wine-red shadows before dropping in temperature so abruptly, sometimes more than 30 degrees in an hour, that the air feels reborn. Night in the Namib is an entirely new kingdom. The sky sharpens into 1,000 crystal points, the dunes turn velvety black, and the horizon dissolves into a silence that feels almost cosmic. Camping here reveals secrets daylight hides, animal tracks curling around your tent, sudden breaths of wind that redraw the sand, and the uncanny stillness that settles after each passing gust. But the Namibe's beauty is inseparable from its brutality. Dehydration arrives without warning, heat stroke lurks behind still air, and absent landmarks leave even seasoned trekkers disoriented. Guides say the desert speaks before it strikes, grainier sand before a wind shift, a sudden warm breath signaling fog retreat, or a strange hush that means a sandstorm is forming just beyond sight. Reading these whispers can mean the difference between awe and danger, making survival less a test of strength and more an act of awareness. For those who come prepared, the desert offers its own quiet exhilaration, a chance to drift along ancient rhythms on a camel trek that mirrors the timeless journeys once carved into these sands. Mount Kilimanjaro, Tanzania. Some landscapes expand your sense of what the world can be, and Mount Kilimanjaro is one of them, an island of ice rising alone from the savanna, as if the earth pressed a single finger upward to remind us of its quiet, commanding power. At the mountain's base, golden grasses ripple like liquid metal as warm winds sweep across the plains, carrying the scent of acacia bark, sun-baked dust, and the faint electricity of distant storms. Step into the rainforest and the atmosphere changes instantly. Giant ferns unfurl like ancient scrolls, vines twist into natural gateways, and monkeys vault through the canopy in streaks of whitened shadow. Moist air gathers at this elevation, feeding moss-covered trees and hidden waterfalls that appear without warning, turning the forest into a living cathedral of dripping green light. As the trail rises, the forest thins into vast heather-covered plateaus, where giant senechios stand in sculptural clusters, plants so imposing they seem borrowed from a prehistoric chapter of Earth's story. Clouds climb the slopes with deliberate grace, rolling in soft white sheets that swallow entire valleys before parting suddenly to reveal sunlit ridges sweeping upward in elegant arcs. Climbers often pause here, not from exhaustion, but because the mountain begins to reveal its scale, an expanse of ridgelines, lava flows, and distant glaciers flickering in and out of view. Above this, the alpine desert unfolds in stark, minimalist beauty. Black volcanic gravel crunches underfoot. Frost silvers the rocks before sunrise, and wind-carved ridges frame wide basins that look untouched by time. Massive boulders sit like abandoned monuments, remnants of ancient eruptions that shaped Kilimanjaro into the stratovolcano it is today. At night, the mountain transforms into a cathedral of starlight, air thin enough to sharpen every constellation, cold enough to turn each breath into drifting silver threads. Here, high-altitude camps glow like small constellations of their own, clusters of tents at Barafu or Barranco, where climbers rest while the mountain looms above them like a dark, ancient guardian. Guides move quietly between tents, checking oxygen levels, refilling water, and offering quiet encouragement in Swahili, their voices grounding climbers in the stillness of the high night. Climbers speak of an inner shift at this elevation, as if the mountain strips away the noise of everyday life, leaving behind a rare clarity that feels both unsettling and deeply grounding. Before dawn, a slow river of headlamps winds across the slope, each shimmering point tracing the story of a traveler pushing through darkness, altitude, and anticipation. Then, almost without warning, the glaciers reveal themselves, massive crystalline walls catching the first sunlight in shades of gold, blue, and ethereal white, the last remnants of an ice age still holding their ground at the equator. At Uhuru Peak, the horizon curves outward across Tanzania and Kenya, the plains below glowing faintly like a sea of burnished copper, making the moment feel both monumental and intimately quiet. On the descent, warmth returns in reverse. The stillness of the alpine desert softens into the heather zone. The heather thickens into rainforest. And finally, the rainforest opens onto the great savanna, a gentle unwinding that feels like moving backward through time. Birdsong resurfaces, the air thickens with oxygen, and hikers find their voices again, laughing with the kind of relief and joy only earned through altitude and effort. Many say the journey doesn't truly end at the summit, but at the base. When your boots finally touch the lowland soil and you realize you've walked through 5 ecosystems, each with its own rhythm, climate, and quiet wisdom. Travel tip: choose the Mashame or Lamasho route if you want the most scenic ascent, and pace yourself slowly. Pole, as the guides wisely say, is the only way to let the mountain open itself to you without resistance.